Most people think they are living their own life, but if you look closely, many are just managing how they are seen. They choose what sounds right, not what feels right. They say yes, when everything inside them wants to say no. And slowly, without realizing it, they become someone they don't even recognize anymore. Not because they are weak, but because they are afraid. Afraid of judgment, afraid of rejection, afraid of disappointing people. So they adjust, they shrink, they perform. And one day, they wake up and feel something strange. Everything looks fine on the outside, but inside something feels empty, like you've been living but not really living. You can tell when someone is living for others. It shows up in small, almost invisible ways. They pause before speaking, not to think, but to filter. They don't ask, is this true? They ask, is this safe to say? And over time, that habit becomes automatic. They become careful with everything. Careful with words, careful with opinions, careful with being themselves. Even simple decisions become heavy. Choosing a career not based on passion, but based on what sounds respectable. Choosing a lifestyle, not based on happiness, but based on what looks successful. Even choosing relationships based on what others will approve of. And slowly, life turns into a performance, not a life. You might recognize this in yourself. You check your phone after posting something, waiting for validation. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you sounded weird. You hesitate before making decisions because you imagine how others might react. And when someone disagrees with you, it stays in your mind longer than it should. Not because it matters that much, but because you've tied your worth to how others respond to you. And then comes the guilt. This quiet, constant guilt. You feel bad for resting because someone might think you're lazy. You feel bad for saying no because someone might feel disappointed. You feel bad for changing your mind because someone might think you're inconsistent. It's like you're carrying invisible expectations on your shoulders. Expectations no one clearly asked for, but you still feel responsible to meet. But here's something important to understand. People-pleasing is not kindness. It looks like kindness on the surface. You help, you agree, you show up, but underneath it's driven by fear. Fear of losing connection, fear of being rejected, fear of not being enough. And that fear shapes your behavior. You become agreeable, not because you always agree, but because disagreement feels dangerous. You become available, not because you always want to help, but because saying no feels uncomfortable. You become easy to be around, but difficult to truly know. Your brain is not trying to hurt you, it's trying to protect you. From an early age, you learned something simple. Approval equals safety. When people praised you, you felt secure. When people criticized you, you felt exposed. So your brain adapted. Let's do more of what gets approval. Let's avoid what risks rejection. And that pattern followed you into adulthood. But here's the problem. What kept you safe is now keeping you stuck. Because the more you rely on approval, the less you trust yourself. You start second-guessing your instincts. You look outside for answers instead of listening within. You lose clarity, and when you lose clarity, you lose direction. That's why so many people feel lost. Not because they don't have options, but because they've disconnected from what they actually want. This is where the real cost begins. Not in one big moment, but in small, repeated compromises. You say yes, again and again. You ignore your discomfort, again and again. You choose what's expected again and again. And each time it feels small, but over years, those small choices shape your entire life. A career you didn't choose, a lifestyle that doesn't fulfill you, relationships where you feel unseen, and suddenly you look around and think, how did I end up here? This is where emotional exhaustion grows, because pretending is not just tiring, it's draining in a deeper way. You're constantly managing impressions. You're adjusting your personality depending on who you're with. You're holding back parts of yourself to stay accepted. And that creates a gap between who you are and who you show. The bigger that gap becomes, the more disconnected you feel. And then comes resentment. Not loud at first, but subtle. You feel it when you give too much and receive too little. You feel it when people expect you to always be available. You feel it when no one seems to notice how much you sacrifice. And a quiet thought appears, why am I always the one giving? Why does no one understand me? But the truth is, they only know the version of you you've been showing them. If you always say yes, they will expect yes. If you always agree, they will assume agreement. Not because they are selfish, but because you trained them to see you that way. Then one day something shifts, not dramatically, but internally. You feel tired of pretending, tired of adjusting, tired of performing. You start asking questions you've been avoiding. What do I actually want? What do I actually feel? What am I doing this for? And those questions, they don't always have clear answers, but they open something, awareness. And awareness changes everything. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You start noticing patterns. You notice when you say yes too quickly. You notice when you stay silent instead of speaking. You notice when you choose approval over honesty. And in those moments, you have a choice. A small one, but powerful. Living for yourself doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It doesn't mean you become selfish. It means something much simpler and much harder. It means being honest. Honest about what you feel. Honest about what you want. Honest about what you no longer accept. It means choosing alignment over approval. Respect over applause. Peace over image. But there's something important that many people misunderstand. Be yourself doesn't mean do whatever you want no matter what. Because sometimes what we call being ourselves is just unfiltered behavior, impatience, harsh words, lack of awareness. And if being yourself constantly hurts people around you, if it makes others feel disrespected, uncomfortable, or small, then it's not authenticity, it's a lack of growth. Being real is not an excuse to ignore your impact, because your freedom does not mean hurting others, and your truth does not mean speaking without care. Real self-improvement is this: you stay true to who you are, but you refine how you show up. You become more aware, more respectful, more intentional, not fake, just better. You don't shrink yourself to fit others, but you also don't ignore how your actions affect them. You grow into a version of yourself that is both honest and kind, both real and considerate, because the goal is not just to be yourself. The goal is to become a better version of yourself, a version that doesn't betray its truth, but also doesn't create unnecessary pain. That's real strength, that's real maturity, and that's what makes people respect you, not just accept you. So how do you actually start? Not with a big life change, not with a dramatic decision. It starts in quiet moments. First, start listening to yourself, not the loud voice of fear, but the quiet voice underneath, the one that says this doesn't feel right. Most people ignore that voice. They override it with logic, with excuses, with it's not a big deal, but it is. Because that voice is your truth. And the more you ignore it, the weaker it becomes. Second, learn to sit with discomfort. Because choosing yourself will feel uncomfortable at first. You will feel guilty. You will feel unsure. You will feel like you're doing something wrong. But you're not. You're just doing something new. And new always feels uncomfortable. Third, stop over-explaining. You don't need to convince everyone. You don't need to make your choices sound acceptable. A simple boundary is enough. I can't do that. I'm not available. That doesn't work for me. No long story. No justification. At first, people might be surprised because they're used to a different version of you, but that's okay. Fourth, make one honest decision every day. Not a big one, just one. Choose what you actually want to eat. Choose how you actually want to spend your time. Choose what you actually want to say. These small decisions rebuild trust. Trust with yourself. Fifth, accept that not everyone will stay. This is one of the hardest truths. When you change, your relationships change. Some people were connected to the version of you that was easy, agreeable, predictable. When that changes, they may feel uncomfortable, and some will leave. Not because you're wrong, but because you're no longer familiar. But something else happens too. You start attracting different people. People who respect your boundaries. People who value your honesty. People who don't need you to pretend. And those relationships, they feel lighter, more real. Confidence starts to grow. Not from praise, but from action. Every time you choose yourself, you prove something. I can trust me. And that kind of confidence, it doesn't disappear when people disagree. It doesn't depend on approval. It stays. Life starts to feel different. Not easier, but clearer. You stop overthinking every decision. You stop chasing every opinion. You stop trying to be everything for everyone. And instead, you become someone real. Living for yourself is not a one-time choice. It's a daily practice. Some days you'll fall back. You'll seek approval again. You'll avoid discomfort again. That's okay. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness and the willingness to return, because at the end of the day, this is your life, not your parents', not your friends', not society's, yours. And you don't get another one. You don't get to restart later. You don't get to come back and fix it. The time is passing, whether you are living truthfully or not. So ask yourself one question: are you building a life that feels like yours, or are you building a life that just looks good to others? Because one day, the opinions won't matter, the expectations won't matter, the approval won't matter, but how you lived, that will. You don't need permission to be yourself. You don't need approval to live your life. And you don't need everyone to understand you. You just need the courage to choose yourself again and again and again.